No one can deny that Groupon uniquely stood out in the list of innovative internet majors of the new century. Founded by Andrew Mason in 2008, the company broke barriers in the market with their group buying coupon system. Just 3 years after their launch, the company raised $700 million via an IPO at a valuation of $11.2 billion, which further jumped to $13 billion, making it an instant success story back then. That same year, Groupon entered the Indian market via an acquisition. The company was rebranded and called Crazy.com. This route was taken as group buying in India had already established itself on many fronts. Yet, just a year later in 2012, Groupon's stock crashed on the Nasdaq from its issue price of $20 to a record low of $4. This, coupled with Groupon's failing to attract more businesses to partner with it, led to weakened financial numbers. Now, with attempts to accelerate business in India, the company's CEO Ankur Warikoo has not only brought Groupon's brand name to the forefront, but has also started a strong ad campaign to take advantage of the failure of existing players to dominate this market. Yet, all isn't well for Groupon itself. Owing to its dismal financial numbers, the company ousted its founder and CEO Andrew Mason just 4 days after this interview was shot. VC Circle caught up with Ankur Warikoo to ascertain the company's 3-category strategy and to get his take on why many Indian companies got the group buying mantra wrong. What is the environment? How are you seeing this market, the Indian market, as a business play?
It's a fantastic opportunity, I would say. When we came in, we were not the earliest in the space, so there was a lot that had already happened. And I think at the time when we entered, the entire concept of deals and group buying was at its peak, and everyone was loving it, so on and so forth, for right reasons.
Yeah.
But then quickly there was this turnaround, and we did see some players exiting the space, some of them changing their business model, so on and so forth. But when we look at the market fundamentally, without any bias or anything whatsoever, we see a massive service segment opportunity. Indian economy is driven by services, and it would be foolish for anyone to expect that none of it would translate online.
Okay.
Food and beverages is beautiful, spa and wellness is beautiful, healthcare is brilliant. All that is eventually got to translate online, and there are enough people out there who are buying these things online as well because they're used to it.
Yeah.
That itself is, according to our estimate, about $1 billion and a half opportunity.
In India.
Untapped in India, untapped. Right? There are people like you and I who want to do it, but there aren't enough places or avenues to do it. Groupon is beginning to be one of them. Second is product, but product in a very different manner. It's all about impulse, and it's all about you not knowing that morning that you made the purchase of what you wanted to buy, but were just god-awful struck by this brilliant deal that came through. It was a great thing that you perhaps wanted or never even wanted, but it's drives on that impulse. And there's a certain category that lend themselves very well. Fashion is a great category, very impulsive. Home and kitchen is a great category, which is very impulsive. You don't set out to buy a pair of knife set, but if you see a great quality knife set and if you see it at a great price and you see it coming in 10 days and not necessarily the next day when you really want it because you never really wanted it, that's a great combination to be in. And third is travel. If you go beyond ticketing, if you even go beyond packaging or packages in general, you would see that where people like you and I would spend most of their travel monies would be in getaways close to our cities. We would just want to go out for a certain weekend, and that's impulse again. So if you see a great deal for a Lonavala or a Mahabaleshwar or a Neemrana or a Jaipur or a Mussoorie, you would just say, hey, why not? Let's just go out. It's just 2 days. It doesn't cost a lot of money because it's great value for money.
And you all have been focusing on these 3 verticals even on the website. So
yes, 100%
and
all there.
Yeah, and that's your main focus now, these 3 verticals?
This is just these 3 verticals continue dominating it. We might never become the biggest product e-commerce player in the country, but that's never the ambition as well. Okay. Our ambition is to become the de facto place for you to discover your life.
Okay. I wanted to get into this whole topic. Group buying suddenly became a big thing in India.
Yep.
You saw many real estate platform companies online getting into that space. You saw other major players get into that space. But then something didn't work out for them and it's going down.
True.
What in Groupon's mind is working out for them? And when you relate to these companies trying to get into that space, what do you see them not doing?
I think they did not execute the business model well. So the fundamental reason of a concept like Groupon to exist is not customers, it's merchants. We are in business to help merchants acquire new customers.
Okay.
Everyone lost track of that. And that's when they went after the wrong things. Right? They started spending an obnoxious amount of money in marketing. They tried to do what was a token price, which was all pro-consumer, but messed up the merchant side completely.
Okay.
Because what happened is, if you, let's say, do a token price, you would sell a huge number of vouchers, because what you're saying to the customer is, don't commit.
Yeah.
Just express your interest. You might not even go there, and that's absolutely fine. But the merchant, at the end of it, received only 10% or 8% or even worse of all the vouchers that he had sold. So he said, hey, someone else has just made money off me while I haven't really necessarily got the benefit. Worse still, I've just become like a discount store in the eyes of millions of people, which I never wanted to. But that was one big thing which completely changed the game for us, because when we came in, we said, hey, we have two options. We either can go with this very attractive seemingly attractive model of a token price, which all the players were doing, or we stick to what our fundamental principles are. And we're glad we did that, because we just realized who are we in it for.
Was Groupon ever in this business of token price?
Never.
Internationally?
Never.
So
in fact, when they heard of it in India, they're like, wow, that's an interesting model. We don't know how it'll work, but intuitively it doesn't seem to be the right thing to do, because it's cutting you out in the long term.
Okay. But we can't judge Groupon's business in India just yet, because it's still fairly early.
True.
But internationally, Groupon is facing a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
What would you say is not working out for the company as well?
I think it's as Andrew also mentioned in his statements, and it's all public, right? So we don't hide anything. We grew at a crazy pace. There haven't been too many companies, I won't be surprised if we're the only one, that have hit $5 billion in less than 4 years of existence.
Okay.
When you grow at that, you do tend to compromise on a few things. And I think those are coming back to us today.
What were those compromises?
I think it's more about how do we make sure that the scalability is there, backed by technology, whether it's always about consumer, whether it's always about merchants, what are we really in it for, what's our modus operandi. So you will see that lately a lot of what Groupon has done has been about technology. We are creating technology to help our merchants understand their own promotions on Groupon much better than they were.
Okay.
So we are today, for instance, supplying merchants with data of where did the customers who bought their deals from came.
Okay.
Had they ever been to the merchant before or not? If they had, how many of them? What's the ROI of this promotion for you? What is the feedback that you're getting from those merchants? Will they recommend your place to someone else? All that feedback is now flowing into merchants in a way that makes them smarter about the business.
Okay.
And we are now realizing that we had to do it all the time, but we possibly didn't do it as much as we had to in the past, and now it's more like a back to basics thing. So I think it was a compromise of growth versus having the right infrastructure, and there were decisions that had to be taken at that point in time that seemed right, and now they're of course.
Put the performance of Groupon India into perspective. So what are the kind of targets that you are trying to reach by the end of next financial year?
Sure.
And what kind of support will you need from the parent?
So I can't comment on what our future projections are, because we never make forward-looking statements. If I were to just look at the past, India alone, the business has grown 5x last year, which makes us one of the fastest, if not
in the
the
range
fastest.
In the range of?
Sorry. Right. So what I can do is I'll tell you that the numbers around how you would measure business are extremely positive. We have about a 48% repeat buying share on the platform, which means you are most likely to come back that same month itself of your purchase, or within 30 days of your purchase. Our average transaction value for a deal size is extremely high at 1,300 rupees. Okay. We're selling a voucher now in every less than 30 seconds.
So that ticket size of 1,000 rupees gone to 1,300.
It's gone to 1,300, right? So we are a deal site at the end of it, but we're still selling things that are way above what even e-commerce players don't do at 1,300. And that's only because we're just smart about who we work with as a brand, the curation that we do, the kind of offering that we create for the customer and the business, and then try and maximize our own returns on that while keeping the two parties happy.
You said profitability by the end of 2013 on the course?
Well, I would say that that's something that we are always conscious of. It's very easy to get there, and we know how to get there. It's a question of whether we want to continue investing and make it a far sizable one, or we could just say, you know what, we want to be profitable and make the best out of it.
So then that kind of puts your dependence on the parent a little shaky, because then you don't know do you need more investments from them?
Well, we're already in investment mode. So there's no way that a 1.5-year-old country would have turned positive, given the kind of competitiveness and the late entry that we had. So we continue to rely, but the parent company is extremely supportive. They believe that India is a strategic market. We have to be there. We have to win in this market. It's a massive, massive opportunity from a services perspective and products and travel. We have the support 100%.
Will you be facing a lot more pressure now that currently the parent is facing pressure in the States?
No,
so does that onus shift to you in India?
I think it hasn't translated into any country. No? It's a pressure that's more external generated than anyone else's.
Okay.
Internally, we know what we are going after. We know what our fundamentals are. We know what we have to do. And it's all about just getting that thing done with a single-minded focus on getting it done.
Okay.
So India has not seen virtually zero impact of anything that's happened globally. And for the matter, even in the company, any movement of stock price or anything, it just doesn't affect who it is because we don't control it, so we don't think about it.
What will your target audience be now? Because Groupon as a brand name is still fairly strong in the urban sectors,
True.
but deals in India generally is a more mass market thing.
True.
So how are you positioning the brand and how are you trying to? What is your strategy for it?
So that's a very good question because this was also one of the differentiations we wanted to bring into our business. Even today, after almost 2 years, we are only in 10 cities.
Okay.
And that's a conscious choice.
Okay.
Because we know that we are limited by the quality of merchant supply in all the other cities that we would like to be in, but we cannot. Because do you really have an awesome merchant that we can run a deal with for 365 days a year? And for most cities outside these 10, the answer is no.
Okay.
And that's where we stopped. We could run a deal with anyone on the street, but that's not the business we are. So our target audience still remains largely urban.
Okay.
75% of our business still comes from the top 5 cities.
Okay.
However, the demographic is very different. It's largely 24 to 35 years of age,
Okay.
while all the other deal sites are far younger.
Yeah. So why is that? Why you're not targeting a younger audience?
Because we all know that that's not an audience which is sticky for the merchant.
Okay.
They're not loyal.
Okay.
They still have to. Now it's what you and I were also when we were college kids. Right? We would just be looking at the best place to drink, not being necessarily worried about where we go. Because at the end of it, it's just you're short on cash, so you just want to maximize what your return is. But that's not what our promise to the merchant is. So we said we will get your customers who will love to come back, who will spread the good joy, who will really translate into business not just for that particular visit, but for future business as well. And that's the 24 to 35 years of audience. So people who have started earning, they like fine life, they like to experience their city in a good way, they like discovery, and they like buying this on Groupon.
Okay. So you started off your India story with an acquisition, yeah?
Yes.
But would that be the preferred route now, or is there anything to acquire?
No, we're not looking at acquisitions at all. Right? There is so much to do within our own business right now, and we're not even scratching the surface.
Considering many acquisition targets could be bleeding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but the idea is what do you get? No? That's the key. And if I think of a business model, no, we know that we are a superior business model. No one else comes close. From a technology perspective, we are a global player. We have technologies no one is even thinking of, forget replicating. And from a customer base, we know where we want to go. And as I mentioned, the overlap of our customer base with the others is not as significant as we would like it to be. So when you start thinking on those parameters, you suddenly realize the number of players that could be open is not so.
Real estate would not be a vertical for you all to look at?
We have tried some real estate deals. It's an interesting category, but honestly, it's not something which you can build your business on because the market is fairly offline. And if you think about it, even if it's online, it's a fairly organized nexus of brokers and builders that works and gets the thing delivered.
Yeah.
We have done deals in the past. In fact, we've even done automobile deals.
Okay.
We went to a large player, one of the largest in the country, and they wanted to generate test drive leads for their latest car. We helped them do that. So suddenly you realize you're not sitting and selling a restaurant or a spa salon. You're virtually offering marketing solutions to anyone that you could, real estate included.
Okay.
Is that a vertical for us? No. But is that something that we play?
You've got to do a lot of work in terms of brand building in India. Now you started with a TV ad campaign which has been fairly lively, but give us a little bit more elaborate idea of what could be seen more on the brand building side. Even the website now, the domain is yours.
Yes.
But you have mentioned that the legal battle is not over.
Yes.
What remains in that front and
Groupon.in, the domain name Groupon.in. We are operating right now on Groupon.co.in.
Okay.
We still do not have possession of Groupon.in, which is where the capital is going. From a branding perspective, I agree, and it's been a conscious choice. So what we've done is we have consciously invested in what I would call experiential marketing, which basically means that we would always go for a slightly select audience profile and do a good job of it, then become very mass. That also translated into the kind of communication we had with the TV ads. They were not your run-of-the-mill discount deal site ads. They were very distinct. They had a humor element to it. They were targeting a certain kind of customer who would get it, and that was a conscious decision. In the past, we're perhaps the only website that has done offline events in a big way. When the Dark Knight was released, we booked out all the 10 cities that we present in, one show across the biggest cineplex of India, and we had the deal running only for Groupon customers. There was an entire hall of 450 seats only of Groupon customers who bought the deal at 50% off. And that was a great way for us to interact with them, get to know what their feedback on the site was, so on and so forth. There was also a first-hand experience for them to see a website doing this offline promotion for them. So it's stuck in their head.
Okay.
And we continuously keep doing such engagements on a regular basis, which proved to be very successful.
What is the kind of contribution India can give Groupon Pen, and in terms of a revenue contribution? What percentage could India be?
It's a hard one, honestly. I would like it to be 100%. The reality is that the focus is right now on growth. Okay. It's such a massive market that for us to even think of contribution to the parent one would be a little too early. Okay. That's definitely part of the plan, but it's a 3 to 5 year plan rather than an immediate plan.
By the end of next financial year, how many cities would you want to be in?
To be honest, I don't see it going beyond even 11 or 12. We are very, very careful in selecting the cities that we enter. And it has to make sense for us because we want to do a good job. So right now, the 2 cities that we are evaluating, we may enter them by the end of this year, but it might not.
On that note, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.